This is the story of my ayahuasca experience. I went down to Peru and I ended up doing it 3 times, but this was the main time. This is my big experience. Now, leading up to the event, I really didn't prepare in any way, shape, or form. Even leaving my flight itinerary, trying to book my flights, I left it to like a week or two right before, and my flights were just a mess. I had two 12-hour layovers to get to where I was going. Plus, it was like a 30, 45-minute ride in a rickshaw, hour in a cab, hour by boat. And, it took me like over 40 hours to get to my destination from leaving home. This was in Iquitos. When I arrived, I was pretty tired. And the shaman, Maestro Orlando Chuandama, he just said, go to sleep, we'll have ceremony tomorrow. And this is about the middle of the day. I was like, okay. So I went to sleep and I don't even remember lying down, just instantly, just fell asleep. And then I get woken up in the middle of the night. It's like, I don't know, maybe 9, 10 at night. And he said, all right, wake up, time for ceremony. And I was like, what? Like, what? Okay, sure. And, I had no preparation, no dieta, no nothing. Like, even in the Lima airport going down, I was eating McDonald's. So that just tells you how much preparation I put into this. So we go to the hut, which is like right next door to the sleeping area. And he sits me down in front of me, and he smokes this tobacco, and he breathes it on me, and then he gives me some ayahuasca. He just fills it up right to the brim, just like a full cup of ayahuasca. So I drink it down. I don't remember it tasting very pleasant, but I went back and sat down, and then he drank his ayahuasca, and then the journey began. So I was lying there on my mat, and it was pretty dark out. Like there's just I could see the light from the moon just shining through the cracks a little bit, but I could barely make out anything. And there's these beetles that fly around, and they're buzzing around me. And I'm half thinking it's part of the experience, even though I just took the medicine, so it wasn't. And then there's also these glow-in-the-dark bugs that were there, and they were kind of tripping me out, and I was thinking God, is this part of the medicine as well? But then I just decided to close my eyes, and my mind was racing. My mind's just racing a mile a minute. I remember thinking I was telepathically connected to Orlando, and I was just in therapy. I was just telling him everything. I was just going through all my stuff, and this is before the medicine even kicks in. So finally, the medicine kicks in, and I'm lying there with my eyes closed, and everything turns to water, and I'm underwater. Everything's water, and I could see this vessel off in the distance, far off in the darkness. I could see this little bright light shining. It was searching for me, and it found me. It spotted on, and then it came up close, and it kind of turned to its side, and I could tell it was like a submarine style thing. So I was instructed. I felt the urge to hop on. Okay, so I got on, and we went off into the darkness, and I really felt the shaman's presence at this point. This is the real deal. Medicine's kicking in, and we're going along, and there's this we're in this valley, and up on the hills, far up on the hills, there's these statues, just one after another, and I've described this in my I think it was my first DMT. I think this was in my first DMT experience, where it's a statue, but it's hyper moving super fast. But here they're just frozen in time. They're just there, and they're just one after another up on these large hills. And I remember thinking wow, those are the DMT statues that I see. Yeah. So from there we keep going, and we get to this place, this clearing from as far as the eye could see, and there's these octagonal shapes, and there's these massive pads of grass, and then in between all the pads there's this water streams, and it's very, very fractal, it's very, very very symmetrical. Everything is just perfectly identical. It's perfect, And we come to this pad, and off in the distance, far, far away, I can see individual meditators sitting on pads. Like there's one off to my right, one off to my left, like way far away. So we're here. It's very peaceful. And, up to this point in my life, I haven't done an ounce of meditation. Nothing. And so we sit down and, I'm instructed to meditate and just like realize how important it is and how peaceful it is. And in that moment, it was just like silence. It was perfection. It was just, everything was just at peace. And we were there for about 5 minutes, inside the ayahuasca experience. Who knows how long it actually was, but it felt like we were there it wasn't right away, but it was there enough to like soak it in. And, I remember thinking like, God, if I got to bring this importance of meditation back to my life in the real world, because, having that peace is well, it was just something I've never experienced up until that point. Yeah, so we hop back in the vessel, and we're going along, and we're sailing off into the darkness. Like it's just nothingness, and slowly everything's just like fading away. Like we were in this nice serene landscape with water and just grass for miles and people meditating. And then before that, there's these beautiful valleys of statues, but all of that is like fading away as the deeper we go, and things are just fading away, and it's just emptiness. It's just blackness. And I'm there, and I'm alone, and I'm kind of looking around my experience, and the shaman's not even there at this point. And, I'm just completely and utterly alone in emptiness. And then I can hear in like physical reality, I hear Orlando get up from his seat, and I open my eyes and I can see him through like the very little light I could see, but I could make out his figure, and he's walking across the room, and he leaves the hut. And I was the only one there, but he left me alone. And, I was thinking like, God, do I follow him? Like, what is this? Maybe he just needs to use the washroom. It's like, whatever, I'm just gonna wait for him. So I close my eyes. So out of the nothingness, there's this little dot that I can see far, far away. And as it gets closer, I can recognize a color. It's blue. And it's getting closer and closer. And then it's like, it kind of turns sideways. So it faces me, and it's this giant piece of paper. And it's like a blueprint. Like, those traditional, like how you build houses. I'm looking at it, and it's this blueprint of a brain. And as I'm having thoughts, there's like electrical impulses firing. So like different parts of the brain would light up as I would have a thought. So then I quickly realized that this is my brain. And once I realized that, it was like a bolt of lightning. I just shot right into the brain. I just shot in like something out of like Magic School Bus, if you ever watched that. It was popular when I was a kid. But yeah, I just like shoot into it, and I'm flying along, and I can see all like the neurons and the pathways lighting up as I'm thinking. And we're just like going along super fast. And then I reach this point where it's just like this like black, like tar looking thing. Just like this like mold, basically. I'm looking at it, I'm like, shit, is that inside my brain? Like that's inside my brain? And the answer out of nowhere just comes back, yes. And I'm like, oh man, is that cancer? And it's just like, yes. And I'm flooded with all these memories of all these events that led up to my life to that point. It's like literally my life flashed before my eyes in that moment. And all of these events that were like leading up to me, and all of these things that were mirroring that to me, were just like flashing one after another, just boom, 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 boom. And then it like brought me back to the moment, and I was there, and then it was just like so sad. Like how could I not have seen it this whole time that it was there? How could I not have noticed that? And, then I'm kind of like defeated in a sense. So I got my head hanging low. I'm just like I don't really know what to think. And then the shaman comes back in. And he comes in and he sits down. And he shines his light over at me. And he's like, Josh, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. So he comes over to me. He's like, okay, ceremony over. I'm like, okay, So he like helps me up, and I stand up, and my legs are super wobbly. Like I'm still definitely on the medicine. Like I'm just like, I can't, I'm so disoriented. And he kind of helps me up, and he helps me out of the hut, and then from there I'm able to like function again. So I follow him upstairs, and like I'm up to this point, like I haven't really explored the compound at all. Like I'm just like, we just showed up. He's like, that's where your bed is. I'm like, okay, good night. And so I have no idea where anything is. So he goes and takes me. He's like, okay, the bathroom's over there. I'm like, okay. And then he lies me down. He's like, okay, tomorrow. He's like, tomorrow we do ceremony. Oh, great. He's like, tomorrow. He's like, I see you tomorrow. Okay, I see you tomorrow. And I lie in my bed, and it's got this like mosquito net over top of it. And it's like pitch black. I can't see anything. I got my stuff to my side, to my right side, because on the left side there's a wall. And I'm just like, I'm just lying there, and then I just like accept that I have cancer and I'm going to die, and I just burst into tears. Like just like this like huge release. And then, all these thoughts start flooding to me, like, man, if I'm gonna die, like I need to go home, and I need to like get everything in order, say goodbye to my family and friends, and just trying to end my life on a high note. And then I asked the questions like, how long do I have to live? And it came back 3 years. I said, okay, 3 years, that's a good time. I could, I can get a lot done in 3 years. And then it's like, no, 3 weeks. I'm like, I have 3 weeks to live? And then the answer came back, yes. And then it was just like, it kind of put me into this panic mode. Where I'm like, oh shit, like, that's not a long time at all. And I'm like, oh man. And, these like, and then I'm thinking about like how I want to say goodbye to everybody. So after my thoughts had settled down and I accepted it was 3 weeks, then it became, no, it's actually right now. Right now I'm going to die. And at this point it's just like, okay, well, then how does that happen? I'm like, well, the way it was, what I thought was going to happen is I was just going to like ascend to heaven or something. So I'm like, well, I don't need any of these earthly possessions. So I took off all my clothes, and I'm lying there in the bed naked, and I'm waiting to something. So I'm waiting for something to happen, but nothing's happening. And then that voice in my head was just like, well, no. If you need to die, you need to die. That the voice in my head is just like, you need to die. But it's not that simple. And then I remember thinking, oh man, you're gonna make me get up, aren't you? And then the voice is just, yep. And as soon as it was this, yep, I was just immediately flooded. Like I needed to use the washroom like right now. Like my bladder went from nothing to overflowing instantly. And I'm like, oh man, I'm trying to reach for my light in the darkness. I got a headlamp. I'm trying to find it, and I can't find it anywhere. So I just jump out of the bed, or jump out of the mosquito net, and I like walk to the end of the room. And I didn't even know where the bathroom is. And so I walked to the left down the hallway, and I just like find the end of the, we're on the second layer of this like hut thing. As far as I know, the shaman was sleeping downstairs, like off to the other end of the hallway, but I was on the other end. So I just like go to the end of the hallway, and I just like start peeing off into the darkness off the second balcony, and it felt really good. So I'm looking up at the moon, and I look down, and I can't see the ground. It's just pitch black, like on ayahuasca, or at least my experience, it just looked like it was just infinite. So I'm looking down at this darkness of infinity, and I'm like, okay, I could just jump right now, and that's it. That's how I do it. So I'm like, okay, this is what needs to happen. So I kind of crouch down, and I'm kind of like on my knees bent. I'm kind of sitting on my heels, and I'm like kind of inch my way to the edge, and I'm like kind of rocking back and forth, and I'm trying to get the courage to just like roll off the edge. And it's like I can tell it's building. The confidence to do this is building and building. And as I'm rocking, I look down at the walkway, and there's this like board Like it's beautifully built, like really well constructed. But there's this one board that's just like shifted out and it's kind of sticking off the walkway, which is really strange. So I just like reach down and I like pull it back into place so it's like lined up with all the boards. And as I did that, there's like huge like click. It's like, and then I was like instantly I realized that okay, I don't need to jump off this ledge. So okay, well that's a relief. So I stand up and I look down the hallway, and it's like pitch black. It's like probably like 2 a.m. I had no idea what I'm doing, and it's just like I feel like I need to go that way, and so I'm like standing there. I'm like inching, like literally every step is an inch. I'm like, as long as I keep making progress, it's all good. So I keep stepping forward until eventually I make it to the other end of the hallway. And I look to my left and there's stairs going down. It's like, oh, stairs would have been so much easier. I'm so glad I didn't jump. But then I look over to my right and there's this window, and then there's a gap, and then there's like another building. But it's kind of level with the roof, and the roof is kind of angled like this. So I'm standing here and I could see the bottom of the angled roof. So I'm like, oh, I gotta jump. I gotta go climb over there. I want to see what's up there. So I hop up on the perch or on the windowsill, and then I jump over the ledge. It's not like that dramatic or anything, but I jump across, and as I jump, as I jump from one ledge to the other building, I'm literally like leaping out of my humanhood. Like anything that I thought I was as a human being, like civilization and language and just mannerisms and like all that stuff was just like gone. And I landed and I was like a monkey. Like I could feel like I was a monkey. And like it was like this, like discovering this for the first time. And I'm like crawling up the side of the roof, and I could feel this moss under my hand, and I pick it up and I smell it, and it's like it's no use to me, so I just whip it away. And I'm like crawling up. Fuck, oh man. And I'm like, so I get to the top of the perch, and I'm the top of the roof, and I'm standing there. I'm kind of like sitting on my heels again, and I'm looking up at the moon, and all of a sudden this light starts shining below. Like there's this light that's like someone's got their flashlight, and they could hear me obviously, but from my perspective it was like this like enemy was waking up, and it was just like this like it was a predator, and the light shining around, but oh fuck, it was like the fear was just whoa, just like infinite fear. And I was like super like anxious, and then I looked to my, where was I facing? So I looked to my right, and there's this building. It was really tall, like really tall building, and I had the idea that I could go climb that, and I don't think I could have physically done that, but it was an option at the time. So I was like, no, that's not an option. So I looked to my left, and it was all the way down the hallway, but this roof was like super long. And then the idea came to me that it was just like I could just run off into the jungle and go join my ancestors from millions of years ago and go live the rest of my life as a monkey. As I'm thinking this, the roof that I was sitting on, it like broke essentially. Like it like gave way a bit, and I cracked like this big part that I was sitting on. And this actually happened because the next day I could see the crack, but it felt like a fucking earthquake. Like it was just boom. I was super scared, and the Orlando, the shaman, he comes running up the stairs. Says, Josh, come down. Josh, come here. But my perception of him was like he's a predator. It's like, oh no, that's not happening. Although I'm not saying words. I'm just like, So I'm full on monkey at this point. And he's trying to like, come on. And like to me that's like a battle sign of like you want to go to war. And I'm like, oh no. So I'm backing away, and I'm at the very top of the point of the roof. And he's got his headlamp on, and he's like, every time he reaches for me, his hand would come out in front of the headlamp so I could fully see it in the light. And it was just like this massive giant gorilla arm. Just woof. Fuck, it was so terrifying. And his cousin was like, I guess he was alerted, and he comes running up the stairs, and he's trying to convince me to get me down. Now there's two of them. I'm like, no, fuck this. This is not happening. And his cousin runs off, and he was trying to bring these like giant like 16-foot 2x4s, and he's trying to like put them down so I can stand on them to disperse my weight, because I guess they're worried that I'm gonna fall through because I already cracked the roof. He's having a hell of a time with these boards. Like they're so bloody long, and he's trying to get them up the stairs, and I couldn't be bothered with that. So the shaman's like, it's like, come on, come on, come on, and I'm on the perch, and I'm just like squatting down, and remember, I'm completely naked at this point, and he's just like, come on, come on, come on. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, fuck, I have no idea that I did ayahuasca at all. And man, so terrifying. So Orlando's like, he keeps doing this. He stops for a bit, and then when he stops and he's calm, I'm like, okay, then I'm calm. Like, he's not like, he can't figure out how to get me. So I'm okay with that. And then he starts like, come on, come on, come on. I'm like, no, 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 no. And then I'm starting to get agitated at this point because he's like relentless. He's like trying to get me down, and his cousin's like laying boards beside me. He's eventually getting them up the stairs. Super challenging for him, but he kept struggling to get these things up. Anyway, so he lies them down, and he's trying to get me to stand on them at least. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm not doing anything you want to do. And then I'm getting agitated, so I start like yelling at both of them. I think they speak Spanish. And I start like trying to imitate their Spanish, which I absolutely cannot do, and I'm not going to do it here. But I'm just yelling at them, and I'm trying to like mimic them, and like, it's just fucking, I don't know, I felt so bad about that the next day. But fuck. So after that, I get this thought that I used to listen to a lot of Terence McKenna back in the day. And one of the things that he said, if you're having a bad trip, is to sit up straight and sing. And that's how you can get out of the trip, forcing air into your lungs and getting that energy moving. And so I have this thought. It was like really the first like sign of like coming back down to reality. But I have this thought, and I'm like, and then in the example that Terence McKenna says, he sings row, row, row your boat. So I sit up straight. So I have the idea that I'm on ayahuasca. I'm tripping right now, and I'm having a bad time. And then I get that thought. So I sit up straight, and as loud as I possibly could, I yell, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Like out into the darkness, and there's like a whole village there. They're all probably trying to sleep. I'm just fucking screaming. Oh my god. But after that, it actually made me feel better. And, oh, okay, Orlando. I say Orlando. He's like, yes, Josh, come. And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this whole time I've been facing my fear of death. And like, I'm done. I have nothing left to give. There's nothing else I can do. And he's like, come, just come. So I slowly inch my way back down the roof. And I kind of got my feet dangling off, and I push off, and they both pull me into the side, and I give them a huge hug. And the shaman's super cool. He hugs me back, and the cousin, I'm this white guy just completely naked, just freaking out. Freaking out. And he's just like, what the fuck? I'm hugging them both. Thank you so much, thank you. The shaman, he walks me back to my room, and we talk for like 10-15 minutes. Like there's such a language barrier, but like that was the most we communicated. And I was trying to just tell him how grateful I am, and that was the first time that I was just like, man, I want to be you. Like, I want to do what you do. And this is like 7-8 years ago. But now I'm finally like waking up to the fact that actually I do want to serve medicine, and I wasn't lying to myself. That was like a moment of honesty, probably one of the first moments of honesty I've had with myself my entire life, perhaps. But man, okay, so yeah, so then we part ways. And he's like, okay, just go to sleep. So, okay, so I lie down, and I'm still like, fuck, I still need to die. Like, I'm gonna die now. And I'm trying to fall asleep, and then I clued in that's like, okay, if I fall asleep, that's how I'll die. Like, that's so much simpler, but that's what's gonna happen. Um, and there's all these roosters all over the farm, and one would cock-a-doodle-doo, and it would send off this chain reaction, and I was like, I couldn't sleep. I was like getting so agitated because I'm just trying to die. Just let me die in peace, please. And anyway, that was it. That was like such a fucking wild time. And then for the rest of the for the rest of the trip, I was there another week. I was supposed to be there 2 weeks, but I ended up leaving early because I couldn't take it. But for the rest of the week, he called me his crazy monkey brother, and yeah. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.